By now, the 2018 MacBook Pro has been put through its paces, but now that I have mine, it's time for me to join in on the fun. The specs I chose were the 2.6 GHz Core i7 6-core processor, 32GB of RAM, a 512GB SSD, and this configuration comes standard with the 560X Radeon Pro graphics processor. And of course, I had to go with that beautiful space gray finish. Underneath the MacBook Pro in the box, you'll find your quick start guide, an 87-watt power brick adapter, and a 2-meter long USB-C power pass-through cable. And one of the coolest things about the setup of the new MacBooks is that they turn on right when you open them up. Now let's go through some of the highlights of the setup process. You can enable Siri voice activation in order to give commands right on your Mac. And so the setup process includes a similar set of commands that you would have on other Apple products such as the iPhone or iPad when setting up this feature, but instead tailored to functions that you would need to access on the Mac. Something else that's new is the True Tone display that you can enable on the 2018 MacBook Pro, which adjusts to ambient light in the room to change the color temperature of the white balance on your screen. You can see here how activating it and deactivating it changes the color from warmer to cooler, respectively, making the viewing experience easier on the eyes. And now with the initial setup complete, it's time to elevate its Pro status. Although many find issue with the shallow key depth on the keyboard, I quite like the feel of the keys. And this is coming from someone that's upgrading from a 2015 13-inch MacBook Pro, with a much more pronounced key depth, but also a much smaller trackpad. One thing I may miss, however, is the thorough abundance of ports on my previous computer, but I did pick up a USB-C hub that I'll be reviewing in a later video. It contains 5 additional ports, including 2 USB-A, 1 USB-C power pass-through, 1 HDMI, and 1 SD card slot. I decided to monitor the performance of my new MacBook as well. First looking at general memory usage, or RAM usage, using an app from the App Store called Memory Clean 2, where I found that Safari and Logic Pro 10 generally used 2 to 4 GB, while Final Cut Pro 10 generally used 4 to 8 GB. And then monitoring processor performance, using Intel's Power Gadget, while exporting a video from Final Cut Pro 10 with a 4K resolution and an H.264 codec. As you can see, the processor maintained a frequency above its base clock speed of 2.6 GHz up until the point where it reached a maximum temperature of 95 degrees Celsius, where the performance dropped temporarily and the CPU utilization dropped from about 60% to about 20%, while the core temperature dropped. Although there were a couple dips in performance at max core temperature, I think overall this isn't much of an issue. Overall, I'm quite pleased with the 2018 MacBook Pro, as it brings with it some major improvements over my previous MacBook Pro, despite some of the compromises. If you found this video informative, I would appreciate a like down below, and feel free to comment any thoughts that you have to add to the conversation. And of course, there'll be more tech coming to the channel, so feel free to subscribe to catch more tech discussions going forward. Thanks for watching. If you want to see my last video, click the annotation in the lower left. If you want to see more in the future and keep up to date with the channel, click the annotation in the bottom right to subscribe. I'm Sean X Tech, and I hope to see you next time.